Okay. Hey everyone, today is going to be a little different. I'm going to do a story about an event that drastically changed our lives, along with many others. Before we begin, make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on another video. I don't know how well you can hear us, but the highway is super loud, so forgive us about that one. Let's get into the story. In 2011, there was a big flood that hit our area. We have quite the story to tell about this. It's going to be from Jade and my perspective, so depending on who you hear it from, it's going to be a little bit different. I've heard a lot of things through the years that drastically changed my perspective on the events that happened. There's a lot of stuff that I missed during it. We were both really young. I would have been 7.
I was like
7 or
6.
8, and then Jade would have been 6 or 7 when it happened. I'm sharing this story with you guys today because it is part of what got us here to this place in our lives today. In another video, I will explain why, but for now, let's just stick to the story.
It had been a really wet season for us. It was non-stop pouring. Every year there would be minor flooding and the road would close in certain areas, but like I said, it wasn't really a big deal.
Yeah, and this was a reoccurring thing. You know, we know the certain areas have shut down. It was something that we were used to and normal, but this year it was different. When the water started rising, we thought it was just going to be another small flood, and our house had never flooded before, not while we lived in it and not while anybody else did.
As the day drew on, it kept on raining. My mom was getting concerned. She had been in contact with our dad, but she was worried that the roads were going to close and that he wouldn't be able to get home.
He told her not to worry and that the house had never flooded before and it wasn't going to flood now, and he just kept on working. He didn't come home. It started to get bad. The waters just started getting closer and closer to the house. My mom went and talked to our neighbors who had lived there since our neighborhood was founded. They said that they had never left before and that they would not leave now. After talking to them, we decided to hold out. She started pulling all of the stuff out of the basement because we had a lot of important stuff down there. While she was down there, she heard a pop and knew that the water started coming in, and she just got out, and within seconds, the entire basement was completely under.
As the water surrounded the house, we became an island. We were trapped. The fire department tried to communicate with us through a megaphone, but the water was way too loud. We could not hear a thing.
They just kept on shouting and shouting through it, and I just remember we could not hear a word of what they were saying. And they were trying to help, but it was not successful.
For 2 hours, they were trying to tell us their plan, or lack of one, but we still just could not hear them.
My mom sat in the laundry room with the window open, trying to tell them that we could not hear a thing. For 2 hours it went on like this, and it was just futile. I remember my mom being in a lot of distress, and I remember not fully understanding what was going on or the severity of the situation. She told me to go upstairs, and I remember watching from the upstairs bathroom window as our entire garden just washed away. I remember being surprised how easy it was for the water to wash away something so heavy so easily and just make it look like it was never even there.
After the original conversation my mom had with my dad, they weren't able to talk again because the landline went out and there was no cell service. Found out after that he and our pastor from our local church had tried to come in from a back way that wasn't flooded.
When they couldn't drive any farther, they parked their trucks at Dunwoody's Hunting Club and left their keys with the caretaker who we knew. At that point, they were able to walk on the roads because they weren't nearly as flooded. Later, that would change. They eventually got a power boat and was trying to planning how to get to us with it. A lot of standing around mostly. They were scared. The force of the water was so powerful that they were worried that this powerboat wasn't gonna make it to us. I just remember her saying, "Where is Dad? Where is Dad? He's gonna be here any minute. I know it." I didn't really know why she was saying that because Dad was not able to get in. We knew this. After hours of this, Dad came storming out of the woods and he looked absolutely livid. He stormed up to this crew of 6 men and started screaming at them. I'm not gonna even tell you what he said. It wasn't great. He took off his jacket and threw it on the ground. And that was like about the last thing I saw before Mom said, "It's time to go, we're leaving." I'm like, okay, well, he told the men that if no one could pluck up the courage to go with him, that he would take the boat and go alone. Only one man ended up going with him. I found out later that part of the reason why he was so angry was because there were no life jackets in the boat. He walked back to the ambulance and grabbed them himself. Unfortunately, there was no life jacket small enough to fit Judah, which was only one at the time. They were able to drive the powerboat into the garage and up against a window, guiding it with by holding on to the rafters up above them. That's how high the water was. And we actually ended up climbing out of that window. I actually think I have a picture of that exact window that I'll show you guys.
So when we got in the boat, my dad told us to lay down on our backs. I didn't really understand the severity of this, and I just remember thinking, I want to like look out, I want to see what was happening. We were in a boat after all. I mean, it seemed pretty fun. What wasn't fun was the look on my dad's face. It
definitely put fear into you. Like, that look is just, I guess that's when I started understanding that this was something serious. Take seriously. We were actually told later that the boat actually hardly made it back to shore. Of course, I was laying on my back. I didn't really feel like we were in any danger of any sort, but later we heard that it was a really close call.
When we got to shore, they wanted to take us to the fire hall, which was where the rest of the neighborhood had evacuated to.
At the rate that the water was rising, the fire hall would have been under in a matter of hours, and then what? At this point, the water was still rising, with no end in sight.
Fortunately for everyone in the fire hall, the water did not reach it, but there was no knowing at the time.
It really did look like it was at that rate. They rode us in the ambulance a little ways, and I remember thinking that part was weird. The people were acting weird. And then when my dad told them that we weren't going to the fire hall, I feel like they were kind of angry at us. I don't know. Maybe that's just a 7-year-old's perspective, but just the energy surrounding that was just it was weird. When we got out, I remember my dad saying very sternly that we were not to complain and that this was going to be very hard and very unpleasant. That got me a little worried, I guess.
We started walking back to his truck, which was about a 3.5-mile hike. One that became very difficult when we found out that the roads were now rivers.
Couldn't have put it better myself. If we wanted to find our way back, we had to follow the road. So we tried to walk along the bank, kind of like in the water a little bit, but there was a big bank on this side that was super steep. After doing this for a little bit, we were sopping wet, and we tried to walk on the bank, but it was so slippery you just slide right off into the water. And you had to hold on to the debris and like the weeds that were growing on the bank so you weren't like washed away. And there were brambles and like prickers, I remember, and it was literally the only thing to hold on to. So you just grabbed onto all those prickers. I just remember my hands just being torn up from that, trying to grasp onto anything on the bank so we weren't washed away. The problem was, it was growing dark really quickly, and there was no hopes of reaching our destination before it was dark.
Soon we were in pitch black. We had no idea where we were going. Well, I didn't know we were going. Our dad definitely seemed like he knew exactly where he was going. He was very determined.
I remember hearing later that my mom thought that he had tunnel vision. But I swear this was black, okay? No way of finding it.
No lights, nothing.
It was black. Not 1 ounce of light. It was the kind of darkness that could literally smother you. At times, I wondered if my eyes were actually open or if it was so dark because I was looking at the inside of my eyelids. The ferociousness of the water can only be imagined by someone who has seen it themselves. If you fell in, you were dead. And the smell, I sometimes smell it on days after it's rained, like the smell of mud and water and sewer. It's a very, very specific smell.
Because our eyes were adjusted to the darkness, at the bottom of the trees we could see this phosphorescent plant growing. I have never seen anything like it in real life, and I haven't seen anything like it since. It was just these glowing, like, plants. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember us all just stopping then and there to just behold this. Oh my gosh, it was a freaking glowing plant. I don't have to explain myself. Have you seen a glowing plant? What the heck?
It was before.
We came to a spot that we had to cross that was now a raging river, but wasn't before when my dad had first hiked it. There was no way around it, but we had to get across. We had to get to the other side, or otherwise we wouldn't make it. And so the four of us, Mom, Judah, Jade, and I, all huddled around and put all of our coats around our heads and kind of just huddled there for what seemed like forever while my dad tried to find a way across. He was gone for so long. Later I found out that my mom actually thought that he was dead after she heard him fall in. Of course, I didn't know that at the time, but that would explain why she was crying.
Son.
After what seemed like forever, my dad came back and told us that he had found a way across.
He had found a tree that had fallen across the river. Later we found out that he had fallen in and gotten washed away, and that tree actually caught him.
Yeah, and it actually crushed him because the water's coming from behind.
Power of the water.
And it actually almost broke his ribs. But somehow, alright, this is literally what you see in TV, literally. They say it's impossible, but he actually managed to climb out of the water and climb onto this tree and find his way back to us. Carrying Judah ended up being quite a burden for my mom. We were climbing terrain that needed 2 free hands. Now she had to figure out how to shimmy across this tree with Judah in her arms. I went first, and Dad went with me. When we got to the other side, I remember Dad saying that he was going to go back for Jade and then go back again for Mom and Judah, and to pray to God that she would make it across safely with Judah because he was really worried about her dropping it. We all thankfully made it across safely. We were all cold and wet and shivering, but I remember coming up this little hill and then at the top seeing this light from the hunting cabin and literally feeling like it raised 2 degrees. I literally felt the warmth from, I don't even know what. I just feel like it got so much warmer when I saw that light, and I didn't know that that's where we're going. I remember looking at Dad and saying, "Is that it?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're here." And he was just very short of words and on a mission. One thing that I remember my mom saying a lot during that journey was that she just wanted us to stay the night there. She wanted us to find a way to huddle around and just like stay there for the night. And do you remember that?
Yeah.
She kept on saying it so often. Let's just stay here. Let's just stay here. We'll make it through the rest of the night here and then find a way in the day, because she didn't really know like how on earth he was even finding his way through the darkness. I'm saying it was impossible. I don't know how he did it. And she just thought that, what if we're just going in the wrong direction? Who knows? Let's just wait until day. Let's just wait until day. Let's figure it out when we have some light. And he just refused. He would not let us stay there. Of course, the water was still rising at this point, so there was no way of knowing whether we would be safe where we were staying. Like, it was really smart for him to continue if he knew where he was going, because what if we woke up in the middle of the night to water surrounding us? Like, we don't know what that looked like, you know? We would have been so stuck.
We knocked on the door, they let us in, and they gave us blankets and dry clothes. We left in our dad's truck, now thankfully in the safe zone, and went to our grandmother's house.
For months, the house was unsuitable for living in. Rumors that toxic gas had leaked out and that were killing the cats. And a lot of people helped us out as well. My uncle, who let us live in his house for months while we were redoing our house, and all of our friends that helped us just salvage all of our stuff that we had lost. There was a lot of support. We also had neighbors who helped us repair our house, a guy who redid our chimney for us, all of that stuff that was lost. Our heirlooms just were gathered up and washed, and just so much help.
Despite how terrible it sounds, a lot of good actually came out of it.
Yeah, I'm going to make another video about why this story was so important and how it fit into the equation of the entire log yard and our business. But for now, that's it for this week's video, guys. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on another video. Thanks for watching.